Okay, I guess you're up to practice 3. For this one, there are many different types of questions in there. But for Algebra 1, if you've not done parallel lines and transversal, then you may not know. I think it's only one question in this practice. And parallel, the rest of them, you guys should be able to do it. Parallel lines and transversal is a little bit different. When we were talking about slope, we actually did talk about parallel lines. However, the way we were looking at it, it was a little bit different. We would say if two lines are parallel, then their slopes are the same. But in the geometry idea, parallel lines is a little bit different. It's always about the angle that's being cut by something called transversal. So this blue line in the middle is what we call a transversal. Okay, this blue line is what we call transversal. And then hopefully by now you can tell A, B, and C, D, these two lines, they're going to be parallel because they are parallel. They'll never touch each other, so they're parallel. So that's what they mean. If you went into a question, they talk about parallel lines and transversal, that's basically the setting of this. You have a pair of parallel lines and you have something, a line or two cutting off these things. Okay, so let's start. So assuming I know one of the angle over there, and hopefully we'll be able to figure it out. So I'm going to talk about, this one is going to be, well, let's just say 40 degrees. Okay, this is going to be 40 degrees. And for every straight line in this universe, this whole thing is going to be 180 degrees. So there's something that I hope you know it. If you don't, now you know. So I have a straight line. If this is 40, the other side has to be 140. Because I'm just looking at this portion, this straight line. Then if I know this is 140, hopefully you can figure it out. I'm talking about this blue straight line. If this is 40, then that has to be 40 degrees. Alright? And hopefully by now, you can see that if this is 40, that has to be 140. In geometry, there are many ways to figure it out, and there are many theorems to go with it, but in Algebra 1, we don't. So you just have to keep in mind that, oh, if I know one of these, I should be able to find the other 3. So this 2 will be equal, that 2 will be equal. Then somehow we have to manage to get this group of numbers down here as well. And the best way to describe this is, let's say I have a rectangle. Let's draw a rectangle. Oops, it's a square, sorry. So let's say if I have a square, the line up top, that's going to be parallel, right? They're going to be parallel. And we know that the angle that forming the corner of a square, that has to be 90 degrees. So these two things, we add them up, 90 plus 90 is equal to 180. So for the time being, we really don't have a lot of weights, or I don't have a lot of weights to describe this scenario. But I know if I pick up a rectangle, I know that they are going to be parallel, then these two angles at the corner, they're going to add up to 180. Now, this is going to apply to this portion of your graph. This one. Okay, this is just kind of like your rectangle. This corner is just exactly like that. It has the same scenario. I have a pair of parallel lines, I have a straight line going through it, and now I know that straight line is what we call a transversal. So it should have the same scenario. So if that's the case, that means this 2 will add up to 180. That means this 140 is going to add another thing, which will form 180. So that has to be 40 degrees. Alright? Magic. These two are the same. So once you find that 40, the rest of it is very easy, just like what we did. That's going to be 140. That's going to be 40. That's going to be 140. Okay, I know my handwriting is not great, so don't complain. And this is basically it. Parallel lines and transversal in geometry, there are many more things that tie to this chapter, but for Algebra 1 level, that's what you need to know. If you have a pair of parallel lines, you have something cut across it, that line is called transversal, and it's always going to form this pattern. So you can see a lot of numbers, they're actually the same. Can we remove this? Yeah, I can remove that. Delete. So there are many things that are the same, like this angle, this angle, this angle, this angle are all the same. And then the other set is this angle, this angle, and this angle, and this angle, they're all the same. So if you have that scenario, that 8 angles, they all have some sort of relationship to each other. So this is a very, very short one. Obviously, I just want to explain something that you may have not seen before or you have not heard of before for the Algebra 1 student. So that's it. Only 5 minutes. 6 minutes. Good luck on this one.